I'm Megan Mitchell. This is my co-host, John Morrison, and you are listening to the True North Racing Podcast.
Time to strap in, pull those belts, and get ready for an action-packed episode of the True North Racing Podcast. Are you ready to unhelmet your favorite racers? Get ready for the most fun you'll have outside the racetrack to get you ready for the next race. You're listening to John Morrison and Megan Mitchell, and this is the True North Racing Podcast.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of the True North Racing Podcast, presented by Driving with Hailey. I'm your host, John Morrison. Joining me, as always, we're back. I'm excited to have you back for 2 weeks in a row. We got Megan Mitchell on the other side of the screen here. Megan, how are you doing?
I am not bad. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How was your weekend? How was your? First of all, last week we talked about it. You had 3 races in 7 days. Now, since that conversation, you've had 2 races in 5 days ish. How did those races go for you?
Not horrible. I mean, the Gold Rush, I'm not going to lie, being an invitational and $1,000 to win, I was kind of expecting a shit show, but it wasn't. Like, it was really good. Like, I had intentions of just trying to make the main show and then starting in parking. I'm not even gonna lie, just to save my car for Saturday. That's what Rachel and I were gonna do. My dad contemplated it too. Chase was all in.
Yeah,
he wasn't gonna do that, but I mean, yeah, we all made it into the show and we all finished the whole entire race, and all 4 cars came home clean and ready for Saturday, so I can't complain.
Yeah,
we got more than out of it, so
that's good.
It was good.
And then of course last night you guys headed back for your regular weekly action because you have 5 races left, 6 races, 5,
6, 7 if you include Frostfest. Frostfest.
You only get 1 off weekend in there. So you went back to Flamborough on Saturday for your regular scheduled races. How did those go for you?
Well, it was all right. Like, I was feeling strong, but
Yeah,
I started 7th out of 24 cars, which was big for me. And I very quickly realized that I still have not grasped like braking later into the corner. My corner entry is not great. So we entered corner 3 on the very first lap, and I braked too early, and Leo was not expecting it.
Oh no.
So he pile drove me, and I tried to catch it and realized I couldn't at that point. So I dove through the grass, looked in my mirror. I'm like, okay, I have time. I'm just gonna like boom, like right out into the middle of the pack, and I'm just gonna try to get my way in there somehow.
Yeah.
Got out onto the track, like probably right in front of my sister, and realized something wasn't right, and I was like pushing right up into the wall where everybody was. So I'm like, I quickly go back down onto the kart track and waited for everyone to go. Went back out, totally lost everybody. That's when I realized the grass is soaked. Like, my tires are soaked now. So it took me about 3 laps to dry the tires.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got back up to everybody, made a few passes, and then the leaders came. So it was a learning experience. It was fun.
I mean, and with the rain that we had on Saturday, Flamborough was the only track to actually run in Ontario.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I found that so astounding that Flamborough held out. The weather turned out actually relatively nice, especially when there was a freaking tornado in air earlier that day. Took the roof off of a Home Hardware out there. Luckily, no
My
injuries. Um,
Mm.
which a tornado in Ontario is very rare. Like we've had Barry hit a couple seasons ago. Air just got hit on Saturday.
Mm.
I was waiting for, like, Jacqueline and I were like, because we ended up going to my cousin's house, and I looked at it, I'm like, okay, everyone's canceled.
Mm.
Why? Like, my mind, we're like, Flamber, what are you doing? Everyone's canceled. Just let's have a Saturday off.
I was mad the whole day. I'm
And
not
then of
gonna lie.
course, 3:20, you look on Snapchat, and what does Rachel post? It's just gonna pass.
Yeah.
And then I think like 5 o'clock, I think I saw another one. It was like, oh, I guess it did pass.
Rachel and I were both in this mindset of like, we're not racing today.
Why are we
Like,
loading
we're
up?
gonna load up. Yeah, like we're gonna get there, we're gonna get sent home. So
Yep.
neither of us were really in a like racing mindset. It was kind of out the window. So yeah, it was incredible to me that we got the whole program in, including
Plus
meet the
Mika
driver.
drivers.
Yeah. It's
Like,
like we
oh,
it's like
which,
I was glad. At the end of the day, I was glad and I was thankful that John
yeah.
did. As mad as I was at first because I'm like, I just want a weekend off. But I
Mother
was happy.
Nature just win just once.
Yeah. Like just this one time, please.
Yeah, honestly, with the way the weather was acting, like I'm sure everyone else was like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
but you know what? I'm kind of glad that a lot of tracks took the precaution early, because
Mhm.
even like this whole weekend was supposed to be washed out.
Yeah.
Like, we only had a little bit of rain today here in Brampton.
Really?
So yeah, we only had a little bit of rain actually. It must have been raining. It did rain earlier. I don't know what I'm saying. It must have rained, like, as if I didn't know. Yeah, it did rain earlier. It rained about 2, 3 o'clock, I want to say, and finally stopped about nine. No, it was done before. It was like 6, like 5, maybe like 5, I want to say.
Hmm.
I don't know. I looked at it a little bit earlier. I'm like, oh, it rained, as if I forgot that it rained earlier. But still, like,
Yeah.
it didn't rain a whole lot this whole weekend in general. Like, it did. We had torrential downpours in sections,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a steady rain that would, like, cause a lot of places to cancel. But I do understand taking the precaution, calling early. Then that way it
Mhm.
saves drivers and fans from coming out when they're, my biggest fear, because I know how Flamborough is with the grass parking lot.
Mhm.
It is it's such a tough predicament when we all know where the water runs.
Yeah.
And I really hope no one got stuck last night and no one needed the tow trucks to get pulled out. I
I
really
didn't
hope
hear of
that.
it. So
Obviously I didn't hear of any either, but we all know where the water settles. So, like,
Mhm.
the people who are there week in and week out can I kind of figure it out. But
Yeah.
of course, if the average fan comes in and maybe once or twice, and like I've seen that parking lot absolutely just flooded,
Mhm.
right? Like, I'm
The
glad Flamborough got in though.
the other weekend it rained so bad that the grass at the back of the parking lot for the pits parking was like a literal lake. I'm not even kidding you. I'm not exaggerating. There was a kid in there swimming. Like I'm like, man, that's incredible.
I
Like,
love that.
oh my
Oh my
god.
God, I love that. Uh, yeah, I'm glad I'm glad you guys ended up having a good weekend. You guys got the full program in. Lots of great storylines there. Jay Pepin gets another runner up in the CV. Gets his first, I think his first runner up in the CVMs. That win is coming for that guy.
Mhm.
He's got a handful, I think. Yeah, they're off this weekend. They have the 31st. Then 2 more. I think they have like 3 more races in total for them. I think he might get a win, and who knows, it might actually come next time I'm out.
I hope so.
I really hope so too. Me personally, because I'll be there doing a race day vlog, and if he gets his first win while I'm there, whoo, Jacqueline has to drive home. Because I'm sure we'll all be partying.
Yeah.
No, I won't be drinking. That's not a big deal. But we'll get into it after the program. If you guys had heard this week, if you guys listened to last week's program and have seen what we've done on social media this week, you guys will have seen that we will be returning the driver's seat. Megan, how do you feel about that?
I'm excited. I always really liked doing the driver's seat. So
It was always fun.
yeah. Like we always had a lot of fun. You know, sometimes too much fun, but
But
it was fun.
it was always a good time.
Exactly.
Maybe what we'll have to do is we'll have to talk to Caitlin, get her in for the intro 1 week on this program.
Mhm.
And then we'll kind of highlight what we can expect from the driver's seat. Who knows? Maybe that's what we'll do is instead of you coming on as a co-host, maybe that week you'll come on as a guest with Caitlin, and then we'll do a preview of kind of what you guys can expect from the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And what you guys like about the show, and kind of we'll do a little reminiscing. Well, I don't know maybe we'll leave that for the show because I want to keep it about an hour and a half on that program too. But all I know is, are you ready for checkers or wreckers again?
No. I suck at that.
That was my favorite part of the program. I'm sorry.
Like, I mean, I loved it, like, because a lot of the time Kate had me on that. And then there was sometimes that we both kind of just sat there like, I don't know.
I know, I'm just like, and I always try to play it into a theme too. So like when you guys had the week off and I knew you guys were going to Niagara for the weekend, we're going Niagara bound, right? With it, right? Like it was just, I loved it. It was so much fun. I don't know how we'll do it this year, but I'm working on a checkers or wreckers for that episode. Do not worry. We'll have fun. But we'll talk about that in the coming weeks because that episode will not be coming out until October. And it'll be the first video debut for the driver's seat on YouTube. And I was meaning to do that like 3 years ago when we did the show.
Yeah.
I was wanting to go to YouTube. You knew that. Like that was the goal.
Yeah.
And now this year we'll have one episode that'll go to YouTube. And who knows, maybe we'll be able to break, like I said, the goal is I want to bring it back in 2025. I want to have it to a point where we'll have a nice conversation. And who knows, maybe what I'll do is maybe what I'll do is I'll just turn on Zoom here, down record it all. You guys run the show. I'll give you guys this the show sheet. You guys go off of that, talk for an hour and a half. I'll come back, and if both of you guys are gone, hit stop, edit it, and then put it up. I don't know what we'll do yet.
Yeah.
No, we'll figure something out. I'd love to bring it back. It was so much fun recording with you guys. It was always a nice Tuesday night as well. Like we got started like 6:30. We were typically done by about 8:30. So
yeah,
who knows? We'll see. But what do you say we get into this week's GraphInk Design Studio guest segment?
for sure.
All right. Well, but before we do that, let's see what vehicle Hailey Hill has for us in our Driving with Hailey vehicle spotlight. This week in our Driving with Hailey vehicle spotlight, we got a 2023 Jeep Wrangler Sahara with only 35,217 kilometers. This vehicle is exactly what you need in your driveway. As we scroll through the pictures here, just take a look at this beauty. It's nice and clean. It's got 4 doors. It is equipped with a 3.6 liter V6. It's actually a hybrid. Yeah, a Jeep hybrid, gas electric. 4-door seats 5. It's got black exterior, black interior. With this, you get GPS navigation, keyless ignition, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, rear view camera, and Bluetooth. So like I said before, you guys can listen to the True North Racing podcast, the Feeney Call, Stickers and Scuffs podcast, the Wild World of Motorsports, any other racing podcast here in Ontario. You guys can listen to it hands-free. While cruising around in this, you guys can actually take off the roof and even take off the off the doors, sorry, and cruise around town, have fun with it. It is an automatic transmission. It is nice and clean. Make sure you guys, if you're looking to book a test drive, contact Hailey Hill at Right Ride, and she will get you hooked up. Like I said, is a clean ride, looks great inside and out. I wouldn't complain. I would if I wanted a Jeep, I'd be going after this. But if you guys are interested in booking a test drive, make sure you guys find her on Facebook at Driving with Hailey. Give her a shout at 289-808-2828 or email her at hhill@rightride.ca. Doesn't matter if you got good credit, bad credit, doesn't matter. She will help you get into the ride that you need, that might support yourself, your family, whatever you need. Give her a shout. Joining us this week in our GraphInk Design Studio guest segment of the week, we are joined by Gary Adriaensen. Am I saying that correct or no?
Yep, you got her good. Yep.
Yes. I should have asked before we jumped on here. Gary, how are you doing? How was your weekend?
I'm good. My weekend was okay. My wife was at the New Kids on the Block concert last night. So I spent the night watching. I watched the Xfinity race, and then I watched the UFC last night. And tried my hand at DraftKings, doing some betting online, and I'm up $15. So
that's all right.
Yeah, you can't complain.
No, obviously, sounds like a great night. Saturday, you weren't scheduled to race Saturday or Friday night at Delaware, were you? You guys were off, right?
We had that week off. I was going to be spotting for Trevor Culver, but we got rained out. So
yeah, stupid Mother Nature. How's your 2024 season been going for you so far?
Well, it was going great up until a couple of weeks ago, and we had just some bad luck, and the motor shut off on the one race 2 weeks ago, or 2 races ago. The motor shut off running second. Pretty much I was going to lose second to Marshall Schrank, but just as he passed me, the motor shut off just for no reason. We coasted back into the pits, and the guys figured it out that it was the main master kill switch had malfunctioned. So I had my gauges were on, my helmet blower was on, but my rad fan and my brake ducts were off, as well as the ignition was off. So the power to the ignition panel, the switch panel, was dead. So one guy reached in and turned off the master, turned it back on, and everything came back on. And why he looked at that, I have no idea. Actually, you know what? That's not true. He said that he's watching NASCAR all the time. Well, just cycle the power, turn everything off and turn it back on. So let's try that, and it happened to work. Which I wouldn't have thought of that just because my gauge cluster's on and my helmet blower's working. So just the way it goes sometimes. In almost 30 years of racing, that's the first time that's happened. And then last week we had a broken left front shock, and up until then we were in the points battle, leading most of the season, and now we're, I think, in third, 19 points back. And I mean, when the field is as tight as it is, and there's not, we've got decent car count in Delaware, but it's not 20 or 25 cars, so it's hard to make up points when the fast guys are all right there together. And so we've got some work ahead of us. I've got 3 races left for Ray and Marshall to hopefully have some problems too, so that we can make it a race again.
That's the one thing. It's easy to lose points, but hard to gain them.
Very much so.
Yep. So how did your interest in racing start, or how did you get your first step into racing?
So back when I was just a little grasshopper, we lived in Glencoe, and my dad had a 2-car garage, but it was a little bit bigger than 2, almost maybe a 2.5 cars deep, or sorry, 1.5 cars deep. So you could ultimately fit 3 cars in there, if you put one sideways. But the neighbor, a new person moved in right across the street from us, and his name was Paul Lovey, and he raced enduro, well, he didn't have a very good garage. He just had a little one thing that was more like a shed. And just getting to know my dad, he asked if he could work on the car in our garage. My dad let him, and I was so going to the track, and of course back then, in order to get in the pits, you had to be 16, or at least that's what they told me. So maybe they just didn't want me down there to get in the way. But so that was my introduction in racing. Was going to watch enduro races, and so when I was 17, I think it was 17, 18. I talked to Paul, and he built me a car, and went out racing enduros, and that's back in the day. So that would have been 97. So that was back in the day when there was over 250 cars on the track at once. You're starting 3 wide, and it's all the way back around to turn number 2.
Yeah.
You're lapped before you even take the green flag, and I mean, you want to learn how to drive, how to avoid things, or, just, come to terms with you're not going to avoid that, brace yourself because this is going to hurt. But, learning to drive, I mean, there's no better place to learn how to drive and how to have, take evasive maneuvers instantly before you even kind of really realize what's happening. You learn how to drive in different conditions, because back then, I mean, it's rain or shine. I mean, unless it was lightning out or a complete massive downpour, you're running, because we ran treaded tires. And back then they did the tech outside the track, and back then you didn't have to have a fire suit. It's just jeans, a sweater,
Kind of like what they ask for enduros or for demolition derbies.
Yeah, exactly. Just running shoes. You didn't even have to have gloves or anything like that. So, I mean, and back then you pitted outside the tracks of Delaware, like for enduros anyways, because there's so many cars that, there's obviously no room for trailers. So you'd load up all your tools, all your spare tires, all your spare parts into the car and drive into the track with all your stuff loaded on the car. I mean, guys were towing in trailers, like little utility trailers, or you'd see a stack of tires, like, 8 tires mounted up or like stacked on a roof of a car just to get into the track. But it was a lot of fun. And 250 laps back then in the sweltering heat, it was pretty hard. But back then I was young and in much better shape than what you see before you now. And back then in those enduros too, there was no yellow flags either. It was just red flags. So unless a driver's door was exposed or the track was completely blocked, they're not stopping the race. And if they did stop the race and you were able to get out of the car, well, your car stayed there. So, chances are if you had a pretty car, you weren't going to have a pretty car after the race. And then by the end of the year, it was even worse. But yeah, that was my introduction into racing.
So how many enduros would you do a year to start with?
Back then, I think we did like 1 a month or so. So maybe five enduro races a month. And back then, an enduro race was all on its own. There was no other divisions. I mean, the enduro race was the race. I mean, and the stands were probably packed more on a Saturday for an enduro race than they were for a Friday night race.
Okay, that's so like they would run on the Saturday, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that's what was the crowd like? You were just I know I heard you mention about the crowd there. Sorry, I was just shooting Megan a message as you were saying that. Obviously, like going from racing enduros, yeah, it teaches you a lot because when like I've only been to 2 enduros in my entire life. One was Delaware in 2017, I want to say, and then my other one was like 20. Oh, when did they have that lot? 2022, I think at Flamborough. I caught one of the year-end ones. The obviously not Pumpkin Smasher, but the Halloween enduro that they did. I think it was 2022.
Yeah, that's a Pumpkin Smasher. Yeah.
It's to me it always intrigues me when they do bring enduros out, especially at Flamborough compared to like Delaware. Delaware, big track, lots of cars, and of course 250 to start. Back when you first started.
Then
Sorry.
Well, and those enduros back then, they were full size cars, like you know, like
The
a
Monte
like a
Carlos.
1977 Monte Carlo,
Mm.
or even you know like which is what I started off with, and then I bought a, a Camaro, like a '79 Camaro, but you know they were all full body, full frame cars, and they were built like tanks. I mean, you know, because there's so much
You
room
had to.
on the car. And back then, you know, to do a say a 25-second lap around Delaware in one of those cars in an enduro race, you were hauling ass. Like it was, there's no room to go anywhere. So I mean, if you were running that fast, I mean, obviously 4-cylinder bone stocks are running quicker than that now, but
Yeah,
you know, back then that was fast.
you got that right. So moving on from the enduro division, where did you jump into? What car did you jump into next?
So I did that for about 8 years, and then moved up to Friday nights racing trucks. A guy named Billy McDonald, he kind of approached me and asked me if I wanted. He was helping me out on my enduro team, and they said we should move up to and race trucks. You know, I know where we can get a truck, and I bought our first truck from Mike Howard. And,
Okay.
I forget what year the truck was, but it was like an F-150 Lightning short box. You know, he already had it, so I mean, all we had to do was put a motor in it and kind of go racing. So that was my introduction into the truck class. And then after that, I think we ran that truck for 1 year, and then I was going to take some time off. And then that didn't last very long. I think probably a couple months into the next season, I bought Steve Lovey's truck and raced that for. Actually, I raced that for the rest of my truck career, I guess, if you will, for another 6 years or something, and won a couple championships in the truck class, and decided it was time to move up.
Hey, nothing. And then you went up to the super stocks, right? From there.
Yep. I was, yeah, and you know, and again, we won 2 championships in a row, 2011, 2012, I think it was. No, 2012, 2013, and yeah, Paul Fothergill took me under his wing, taught me everything to know about trucks and kind of how to Friday night drive, and Sid McDonald helped me out a lot too. Then we moved up into super stocks, and I bought Jeff Schauler's car, which was owned by J.R. Fitzpatrick. I think Jeff won that championship or 2 with that. I can't remember how many he won with that car, but so I bought it, got Rookie of the Year in the super stock class and in the first year, and then won the championship the very next year in it. And then so that was 2015, and then we won it again in 2018, and again decided, oh, it's time to move up. So then we went up to late model racing, and here we are.
So that jump between the trucks and the super stocks, what would have been the biggest difference for you learning wise?
There were definitely, like, the competition level in the super stocks was way more than what the trucks. The trucks were kind of like, when I started the truck class, there was a lot of trucks, like maybe 15 to 20 trucks, and then each year it started to decline a little bit. So I think by the time I got out, there was maybe 8 or 9 trucks, and that was it. So then when I went into super stock again, the car count was much higher, and I mean, you had guys like Darrell Lake was running, Shea Gemmel, Brandon Verhoeven, Jake Sheridan eventually came in. I think he came in a year or 2 after that. Trevor Culver, the same year I did in super stocks. Adam Swales, who else was in that? Stephen Richmond, I think, ran a few races. You know, so there was a lot of competition back then, and obviously quicker speeds. The trucks were on. I think we started out on like a stock tire, the Firestone Indy 500s, and then the super stocks. I think at that time we went to like an 8-inch Hoosier tire, if I remember correctly. I'm getting old. I'm trying to remember all this stuff.
I
But
always
yeah,
remember the
that
super
was the
stocks being
big
on the
thing.
8-inch Hoosiers when I was there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were the whole time I was in super stock, we're on the 8-inch Hoosier. But yeah, definitely the speed difference was, and obviously there was a weight difference too between the truck and the car, lower to the ground. Obviously, you know, with a truck, you could still see up through everybody's windshield, um, even though there was a big tailgate, but you could still see through the windshield. Whereas the super stocks, you were getting down further, a little lower. Which I mean, you could still see through a windshield, but not very good.
Yeah.
Whereas now in a late model, yeah, you can't see through anything. You basically see through your windshield and that's it.
It blows my mind really when I look at the progression of race car driver, like how going from one division to another and having to learn like you just said, the trucks you can see through the guy in front of you through the windshield. Super stocks a little bit, but not too much. But then late models, you can hardly see past your nose now because of the way the weight is, the way the body sits. Um, and obviously moving we understand that we've understood from past people that jumping from super stocks to late models is a whole new ball game because there's so many different behind the scenes stuff that the average fan in the grandstands doesn't know about. Um, but for a driver and a team, it's a big learning curve to understand how it to make that car turn or make it tick how you want it to feel. So just like the trucks to the super stocks, what was the biggest difference for you learning wise to go from super stocks to the late models?
Well, trucks back then, I mean, basics are basics. I mean, even whether it's from a truck to a late model, the basic terminology is all the same. I mean, you know,
Yep.
your wedge and stagger and left side weight, cross weight, like that stuff all is. But each vehicle wants different cross weight or different wedge, you know, different stagger, even, you know, but with the trucks, you know, each class you move up, obviously you can do a lot more. But the biggest difference between trucks to super stocks, I mean, you're using the same motor. Um, I think the trucks ended up going onto the same tires anyway. So like there's a lot of similarities, but you're just allowed to do a little bit more with the super stock because I mean a truck, there's not a whole lot of high performance parts that you can put onto a truck that are
Yep.
made for a truck in the racing industry. So I mean, even leaf springs. I mean, we were cutting out the front mounts of where a truck leaf spring would be, and having to shorten it so that we could use like a Landrum leaf spring. You know, same with shocks. I mean, the shocks for the most part were the same, but you'd have to relocate them slightly different. You weren't allowed to at the time move your upper A arm mounts, and you had to use a stock A arm. So you know, there was a lot of heating and bending and stuff to make things work to your advantage, or to get the caster can that you wanted. You know, and then when you get up to a super stock, even back then, I mean, super stocks from when I raced super stock have evolved so much. I mean,
Oh yeah.
when I raced super stock, you know, you weren't allowed spotters even. You weren't allowed, like at Delaware, even the sway bar had to be a stock sway bar, you know, so you couldn't have the slapper bars, you know, your leaf springs weren't allowed to be adjustable. Even at the beginning when I started, you weren't allowed load bolts. We had to have spring pockets in them. So every time you wanted to make a height adjustment, well, you got to take the whole suspension apart just so you could turn one or two turns and then put it all back together, put it down. Oh no, we're still a quarter inch too long. Take it all apart again. It was very, very time consuming. So I mean,
Yeah.
unless you were willing to put in the time and and I mean hours and hours and hours, and have a crew that was just as dedicated and committed to the task at hand as you were, then you were going to already be behind the eight ball. So I mean, the crew that I have in now, even, you know, they've been with me uh, since the super stock. We've I forget how long we've been together now. The core group that we have now is, but it's it's got to be pushing 10 years or something, or very, very close to it. So, I mean, the guys are like my best friends. You know, each one of them was in my wedding party. You know, we just do everything together. You know, so we work well together. We have fun. I mean, even when things are tough, you know, we get annoyed with each other, but it's just the passion that we have that, you know, you get annoyed with each other and then, all right, well, but, you know, 10 minutes later, we're laughing and joking around again. It's just that instant situation that's so frustrating. But yeah, no, I have such a great group of guys. They all know what they're doing. You know, if they say they've done something, there's no need me for to check it or even question about it. They say it's done, it's done.
I like it when it crews like that.
Mhm.
It makes it that much easier for you. Like the one thing is, I've learned this from my days with David Elliott, was that you got to trust your guys to do what you need, what you want. If you don't trust your guys, you're not gonna do well. Because if the driver has to go over and second check everything, it's not right.
Yeah, well, see, and I mean, my guys too. I mean, the attention to detail that they have is phenomenal. I mean, they have caught, whether it be at the track or in the shop, we have caught so many things um, before they've caused detrimental effects or consequences. I guess, you know, like we have spent sometimes what seems like expensive money, but has saved thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in the long run, just because somebody was thorough and caught something and questioned it and didn't say, it's just a race car, it'll be good enough. You know, like they just don't have that mentality, which is why, you know, we win races and have won championships together.
Exactly. So when you moved to late models from Super Stocks, was it a brand new build or did you buy it from somebody?
So the last super stock I had, we built that one. It was a McCall chassis. We assembled everything. They built the chassis and frame and everything, and we assembled everything and did that. And then when we sold that and bought the late model, we bought one from McCall's, and I believe it was Jason Parker's car prior to that.
Okay.
And I mean, the car was ran in the big Cayuga race, the very first big one,
Yep.
that everybody came down or came up from the state. Sorry, so the big nationals. I think Jesse Kennedy drove it in that race. I think it had a couple drivers like sporadically in it throughout that year. After, so Jason sold it to McCall's or traded in, whatever it was, and then it kind of was just a house car for a little bit. And then I bought that one. Yeah, so then I had that for 2 years. We ran Delaware, got Rookie of the Year at Delaware. And then the very next year, COVID happened. So Delaware didn't run that year, but APC did. So we thought, well, I've kind of already collected a bunch of money from sponsors and spent most of it. So, you know what? APC was only going to do 5 races, I think, at that year. So I thought, you know, let's go make a run at it. I think we were bringing a knife to a gunfight, but half those tracks. I mean, I had raced already at Flamborough in Superstock. I had raced at Sunset in the Superstock, but Sauble, I had never even been to the track. So that was everything about that day was a first. But you know, we did okay. I mean, we actually finished 7th in the points and got Rookie of the Year honors in that as well. So I mean, it was you know, it was kind of nice to run with the big boys back then. And you know, and then that year, I think they were still pulling in 25, 30 cars a race back then. So, I mean, the biggest struggle we had with that was just the traveling.
Yeah.
You know, long days. You know, we definitely didn't have a budget to get hotels or whatever. You know, and when living in St. Thomas, you know, to drive up to Sauble, race all day, drive all the way back home, like it was definitely a long night for everybody. But yeah, we made it happen. We had some fun. I mean, in the last race of was at Cayuga or Cayuga Jacasa, and we led some laps in both races. Had a great battle with Pete Shepard towards the end, and learned a lot. We had, like I said, we had a lot of fun. Then I decided to retire because I don't know why.
Retire.
Yeah, yeah. I'm on my Rock Stewart return tour, I guess. But yeah, and then we came back 2 years later. So I went during that hiatus. We went to Darrell Lake asked me to spot for him, so I did, and I brought a couple of my guys with me. So we crewed for him for 2 years, and then let's try this racing thing again. So we bought another car and bought Danny Benedict's car, and so we ran last year and this year. So yeah, we're doing good. Won one feature race last year. We got 2 this year already. So we just need to there's 3 races, so we need 3 more wins.
It's possible. Anything is possible.
Yeah. For sure. So, because I mean, at least then I can make Ray work for it. But Ray, the thing with championships, it's don't have any mistakes. That's what it comes down to. Don't have any mistakes. And last year, Connor Pritico won the championship at Delaware, and he didn't have any mistakes. And when he did, he did capitalize and minimize those mistakes, whereas the rest of us all had, things happen. This year, Ray's he's had a great year, flawless year so far, and when he is having a bad night, the Murnos are able to capitalize and make a good night out of a bad night whenever they need to. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So how did you get into spotting, and what is that like, sitting up there spotting instead of being in the car?
So I forget who, I think Shea Gemmell was the first guy to ask me to spot, which I didn't have a whole lot of experience with it then. Obviously, Dan Bug is my spotter. Just listening to him on the radio, I had an idea what to do. Plus, I crewed for DJ Kennington for about 5 years as well. So listening to his crew spotter, just kind of pick up on things and what they want, they don't want. Spotted for J.R. Fitzpatrick a couple of times, and then after listening to Dan Buggs talk nonstop in my ear, Daryl asked me, yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot. And see what we can do. And I really enjoy it, actually. And I think having another racer as your spotter, I think really helps, because they just see things differently. They can kind of see it through the same eyes that you're seeing it through, even though they're above you. They have an idea of what you're looking for, what you're not looking for. Chad Reinen has filled in for me a couple times this year as well when Dan was away on knee surgery. Another former racer, great racer. And I think that just adds a little bit of another layer to it. Spotting, as it's a whole lot more than just inside, outside, clear, green flag. There's a whole lot. A spotter can drive the car just as much as what the driver can. Obviously not literally, but obviously the spotter can see things that the driver can't. So, if your spotter's good enough, you can see things that are happening up front to give and warn you about them. And I'm not just talking about a wreck. The leaders could be, getting into each other, and he's preparing you for that, to, keep digging a little bit and get yourself in there, because they're probably going to take each other out. Which is what happened, how we got the first win this year, is Ray Murnau and Kyle Steckley, got together and took each other out, caused caution, and we put us
opening
on
night.
Opening night, yep.
I was there.
Yep.
Because I had a GoPro on Ray's car.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
But I lost the footage of the wreck.
Right. Yeah, so and Bug was telling me, like, they're beating and banging on each other up here. Just be ready, because either they're going to take each other out altogether, and then there'll be a caution, and we'll inherit the front row, or, they're just going to take each other out enough, and maybe you can get in there and sneak by. So, unfortunately for them, they took each other out. I think Kyle backed it into the wall, and Ray got into it as well somehow. Ray was able to finish the race, but I think Kyle had to rebuild the whole back end. But yeah, we got on the front row with, I think Jaden Chapman was with me, and we came out with the checkers.
That's like, I was so, because I'm glad you're able to give me that perspective now, because obviously Rogers TV wasn't there that night. They were off recording with the London Knights, so we didn't, and of course I lost the GoPro on that wreck, because as soon as I saw Ray come around, his left rear quarter was pushed in behind the wheel well, and I was like, and I'm looking for, I'm like, I don't see a flashing red light, I can't see a camera. Sure enough, it was actually just sitting just outside the groove, the racing groove down in 3 and 4. And the safety guys had to go pick it up. So I'm glad you were able to, because, and I asked Ray what happened there. But of course, with him, I think he was on the inside when that happened.
I believe so, yeah.
He could only think about, like, he could only give us what he saw of the wreck. Now I'm kind of glad we got you in here, because then you were sitting in the catbird seat when this happened, because it was like, I'm sure it was a couple car lengths in front of you at that point.
Yeah, they had, actually Jake Hooker was in front of me. I was actually running 4th, but Jake ended up getting into that as well, I think. Because if I remember correctly, I was still a little bit back, but I was going to go high, and I seen Ray was still sliding at the time. I had seen Steckley go high, but I was still going to go high because Ray was down low, but then he started backing up a bit. So I quickly changed my mind and went low, which thankfully we did. Otherwise, we would have been collected in that as well. But I'm pretty sure Jake Hooker also got involved in that, which is why that makes sense. That's why we inherited the lead.
Yeah. No, that was a wild race, and I kind of saw it coming on the last restart just before it happened. And then the last win you got was just 4 weeks ago or so. It was recent.
It was actually, you know what? It was July 12th.
Okay, about a month ago.
I lost my dad back in March to cancer, and July 11th was his birthday. So I remember July 12th was the day after his birthday. So July 12th was the last time we got one.
My condolences on the passing of your father there, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
It's tough.
Obviously he was definitely looking out for you, helping you get to victory lane there on the 12th then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. My dad was always a big supporter. He was never involved in racing. He helped me out in the enduro stuff when we started out, but he was never really. He's like, I don't know what to do, so I don't know really how I can help. I just come down. If I got to change a tire, change a tire. If I need help, just you know how to work a wrench or a ratchet, so grab tools or whatever. But he'd rather just sit up in the stands and brag to everybody. So, which I was happy to have. But when he passed, I wanted to actually to back that up a little bit. Back when we had the trucks were a stock body back then, and obviously you cut everything out of the interior and you're welding your race seat. But the nice thing about the trucks is there's lots of room over there on the passenger side, so we could have like a sponsor appreciation or a family and friends day where we'd rent the track and bolt in a passenger seat in the passenger side of the truck, so and take everybody out for a ride. So my dad was he was very shocked to see how fast you're actually going. I remember and I didn't take it easy either. Right up to the wall. So you want to see what it's like? This is what it's like. So we're right up against the wall, and I could see his foot searching for the brake pedal that didn't exist on the passenger side. We're not even to the start finish line yet, and he's already looking for the brake pedal. And I just hammered down, and he got out. He says, "Well, that's a lot faster than what it looks like from up top of the hill." I said, "Well, I said, every time that you're telling me, why don't you just drive a little quicker past the guy?" Well, this is why. It's a little easier said than done. So So anyways, when I lost my dad, I wanted to do something special for him, and I put dad on the passenger door above, so on the passenger roof there, and some wings with the halo around it. So just to honor him, I mean, you know, and it was really really nice, and it was quite emotional actually. The winning the opening night, um, you know, really brought me to tears actually, and I made sure that I had a picture with the checkered flag pointing to him in victory lane. So yeah, it was good.
That's awesome. I
Mhm.
see. This is what I talk about when I love hearing stories about that. When people, I think that's one of the things I love about when you're able to do stuff like that, though, with ride-alongs or stuff like that. People in the grandstands don't realize exactly what drivers see, and when you're able to give them that perspective, and obviously to give your dad the full effect of what you guys do, um, obviously created a lasting memory for both of you guys, because I'm sure you were sitting over in the driver's seat with this big, grin on your face, just be like,
Oh
this is
yeah,
what I'm telling you about.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would love to be able to do that kind of thing again. I mean, McCall's had a two-seater car that you could rent and do that, and unfortunately, there's some people out there that wanted it more than McCall's did, so whoever it got stolen, and obviously not something that you can really sell on the Facebook marketplace. So
No.
who knows whatever happened to it, but Mike never got it back. But it would be awesome to have it back again, where we could do that for friends and family. I mean, I would love to be able to take my wife out for a trip around the track just to show her, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
what it's all about.
I've always said, like, because one story that I always love to tell, and it goes back to my days with crewing for David Elliott. Uh, it was kids ride night at Flamborough, and this is going back. I think it was 2011, maybe. I think it was 2011 because I think 2012 David ran Delaware for the late models again. I think it was 2011, and one of the local radio stations was the presenting sponsor for that night's races, and David. Oh crap! Who was the other driver there? Chenoweth. Both took out the radio hosts,
Oh yeah,
and how cramped you are on that passenger side on a late model. There's no room over there. I don't know how these two females that were there with the radio station got into either car. Chenoweth was taking it a little easier. David was within about 2 seconds of a regular lap time for him.
jeez, and they're just holding on kind of thing. They're not
And
in a seat or anything.
yeah, we
Oh
we
wow.
pulled the stopwatch because I'm like, he's looking like he's going a little too fast. Like, so I ran down, grabbed a stopwatch. He was about 2 to 3 seconds off a regular lap time, and all we heard going by, just pure scream.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we were doing it with the truck, we had the GoPros back then, and
Oh,
we would put a GoPro
yep.
face it on the person, right? And some people are just loving it, others are no big deal, others are just absolutely losing their minds. Like hands in their face, can't look or anything, and just screaming, and it was great. It was a lot of fun.
See, there's a whole YouTube thing you can do right there.
Oh yeah,
Put a GoPro with the wide lens on so you can get both the driver and the person. Give that to them as a little present. Like, here's your reaction from the ride along. Oh
yeah,
my
that's a
gosh.
great idea. Yeah, they used to have the Rusty Wallace experience come to
Yep.
Delaware for a few years, and I got to drive for them for the same thing. They need some, just somebody to drive the cars and take people around for laps. And me and Kathleen hosting, Kathleen Greenow did that day, and it was a lot of fun taking people around. I love doing that because I mean, some people are genuinely, pooping their pants. Other people are just loving every second of it, and uh, it's definitely a whole different experience being in the car. Even, I mean, when you're in control, obviously, I mean, no different than driving on the street. When you're in control in the driver's seat, you know, you have your own comfort level. But when you're in a passenger seat and you're completely in someone else's hands, it's a whole different experience once again, right? So,
Absolutely.
I love being able to both have somebody enjoy it, but also scare the poop out of somebody.
I don't blame you at all. We're going to pause for 1 second, and we are going to get into our tailored to you media and design fan question period. As you saw earlier today, we were announced that you were joining us as tonight's guest, and we got a question for you from one of our good friends, William_Trillium on Instagram. Are you ready to answer it?
Sure, fire.
All right, Megan, take it away.
So he wants to know, what track would you like to race at that you haven't raced at yet?
The only track in Ontario that exists that I have not raced at is Peterborough. I've been there, spotted there, but I've never raced there. So I guess it would be that one. Because Kawartha doesn't exist anymore, I don't believe. Barrie no longer exists. Same with Mossport, that track doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, Peterborough, I guess. Yep.
I'd love to see a late model race go to Laird up in Sault Ste. Marie. It'd be a hell of a time to get up there, but I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Right.
But that is
I raced at Barney what is it called? Full Throttle. He was Barney back then. I raced there too. And I've even raced at Grand Bend. So so definitely Peterborough. The only track I haven't driven.
That's awesome. Well, that is our tailored to you media design fan question period. And of course, make sure you guys tune in each week, every Sunday around noon, to see who next week's guest will be. And of course, we got to thank Gary for taking the time to answer those questions for us. And make sure you guys follow Tailored to You Media Design on Facebook and Instagram and see where she'll be having a market at soon. And if you guys are interested in tumblers, what else does she do? Mouse pads. I forgot I had a mouse pad designed by her right here that I'm obsessed over, by the way. She's done amazing stuff. She designed our original Joe Media logo, and she's done a bunch of stuff for me, stickers, whatever I needed. She's always been a helping hand. So make sure you guys go follow her on Facebook and Instagram. And if you guys are looking for any apparel or anything like that, or merchandise you guys want to look at selling, give her a shout. But going back into it, I kind of wanted to get into that fan question period because it wanted to lead me into actually my next question here is where, running into late models and it seems you're very comfortable running the late models at Delaware. If funds were no issue, not really if funds were no issue, but if you had a good sized budget, would you ever consider going back to running the APC tour, or would you like to run an outlaw schedule where we see you running throughout the states?
I think my days for trying to attempt anything in the States other than like a one-off here, they're pretty much, gone. But APC, I mean, if the funding was there, I would definitely consider it. I would have to talk it over with my guys. Obviously, if we were to do something like that, it would have to be, we wouldn't just do it, half-assed. It would have to be done right. I think that talent-wise, between myself and my crew, I think we can definitely run with those guys. I would definitely think we could probably run in the top 10 on a regular basis. But the cost with all the traveling and in this time, if we're going to do something like that, it would have to be where we're either staying over there the night before or the night after. I'm the young guy.
Oh, really?
My guys are all a couple years older than me. Yeah, I'm the youngin. Yeah, I mean, if money wasn't an issue and somebody stepped up and wanted to throw their name on the car and help us out with that, I think that the guys would do it. Just because, I mean, when we did it, on a very, very limited budget in 2020, I mean, it was really new to us. And I mean, in competition back then was, I mean, like Brandon Watson was still driving, Jared Fitzpatrick's driving. I mean, all those big top dogs are are all in there. Pete Shepard was racing at the time. I mean, you know, like it's heavy competition. So, you know, and I mean, we never really qualified very well. But we would get up into the top 10. I think Sabla was running 6th at the time. We led laps at Jukasa. We had just outside the top 10. Like, I mean, we had a couple 11th place finishes. And then at the last race at Jukasa, we finished 7th and 4th, just missing out on the podium. So, I mean, even with those guys, we were able to run decent, you know? So, yeah, I think if money wasn't an issue and we could get the funds behind us, I would definitely take a chance at it. Yep.
All right, yeah, because like a lot of people I talk to, they're either past where they want to travel or they're in their comfortable. Because let's be real, no driver ever wants to mess up a good thing. And if you're being competitive and you're running in the top 10, top 5 on a weekly basis, you don't want to take a chance by traveling and wrecking your car and having to go back and be like, well, I don't know what happened. But obviously it sounds like you and your team are having a blast running Delaware on a weekly schedule. Especially with like what I think it's like 12-ish races there this year.
I think it was 12 or 13 after retirement. I mean, my biggest fear was, you know, I went out on a high, you know, led some laps at Jukasa in the APC series and led like not just one or two, like we led, you know, a good number of laps. And I just didn't want to come back and be, you know, a has-been, you know, or come back and I'm all washed up or whatever. So that was my biggest fear, you know, but, you know, even last year we were competitive. We finished 5th in the points last year. We won a race, but I mean, even finishing 5th, there was 1 point between 5th and 4th, 1 point between 4th and 3rd. And I think even 1 or 2 points between 3rd and 2nd. You know, and the very last race, 7 laps to go, I cut a power steering line. So we lost 3 or 4 spots in the last race because of that. Otherwise, instead of finishing 5th, I would have been 2nd or 3rd. Yeah, you know, it's just the way it works out. But the numbers don't show that, or you know, finish in the points doesn't show that. But you know, we were competitive. You know, and this year here again, we led the points all up until, you know, a couple weeks ago, and so you know, the fact that we're still competitive. I mean, we're not washed up. We're not has-beens. We're not a bunch of old guys trying to keep up with the young kids. I mean, you know, these young kids now, you know, probably between Marshall and Ray, I mean, I'm older than both of them with their combined, you know, so I'm just an old guy trying to outpace the young guys coming. You know, and I say these, I mean, obviously Ray's been racing a long time. Marshall's been racing a while and over different divisions too, you know, like, I mean, it's not just late models. Like, I mean, everybody comes up through the ranks. I mean, you know, Ray's been down in the States racing at Flat Rock and stuff like that. And, you know, he's a really talented kid. So it's good to stay competitive and still be able to go out there and run with them.
Definitely. So one of my favorite questions, what is is there a meaning behind your number? Why did you choose the number that you have?
So the very first number I ever had was 28. And that was my favorite driver was Mark Martin. And my brother's favorite driver was Dale Jarrett. So we put the two together, came up with 28. And then then my next number was 69. So it wasn't 20, it was 68. 68, not 20, 68. So 69 came from, you know, sponsorship, you go out and knock on doors wherever you can. Whoever will give you money, you take money from them. So my primary sponsor that year was Adult Movie Warehouse. So this was back before the internet was kind of a thing. And you know, if you wanted porn, you would go to the store and rent porn. So he said, well, I'll give you I'll give you X number of dollars. What would you change your name or change your number to 69? Like, yeah, absolutely. Why not? So, and back then, and there's a great big heart. Like, so I had a great big massive pink heart on the hood of my car with a yellow ribbon through it, and then 69 on it. Adult Movie Warehouse on the back quarter panels. But you know what? Paid the bills, and so yeah. So then they stopped sponsoring. So then I went to 77. I really like the double digits, where whether it's a 44 or 55 or 77. So I went to 77, and then when I moved into trucks, Tom Zagarodny was already 77. But where 55 came from was a friend of mine. I was going to take a year off when my daughter was born in enduro, and he raced my car that year, and he was 55. So I thought, well, kind of already somewhat associated with it, and so 55 was the number. And then even when I moved up to super stocks, well, Darrell Lake was 77, and again 55, I was already kind of synonymous. I mean, even though the design of the number, it's been the same 55 since I started 55. It's been, I mean, it's been white with a black outline and a red outline around that, and it's changed up slightly whether the black is on the inside or the outside and the red's on the inside or the outside, but it's been ultimately the same logo of a 55 since that. So yeah, that's kind of how 55 came back, or it came to be.
I think if I had to rank like any meaning I've heard behind numbers, I can't get over the 69 one. Like,
yeah.
that takes the top.
What are you gonna do? I mean, you know what? You want to give me money? It's just a number, But it fit the sponsorship. So I mean,
absolutely.
The funny thing is it was such a great sponsorship because and again, that's back in enduro. So there was no social media back then. There was no no Rogers TV. There's no G-Force. That's long before any of that stuff started. So back then, I don't know why I say this stuff. They were giving me. He's like, well, how do we know that I got with Adult Movie Warehouse and the big heart and the 69, we're going to get some exposure from the fans in the stands. But I said, well, how about you give me some business cards and put instead of your name on them, put my name on them, and then but they could be like a coupon, like a rent one get one free kind of thing. So we handed out about 1,000 of those, and I'm not kidding you, he got 700 of them back. So he was very happy, and then he was giving me some the little packs of lube and condoms, and so we'd hand those out to whoever around the track. So yeah, I mean, it was good. Like, I mean, it was, promotion before promotion was a real big thing for that class, so.
Oh my God.
That was a lot of fun.
I'm clipping this and this is going on TikTok. I do not care. This is.
Yeah, I should have.
No, that is awesome. I love that so much. That is hysterical. Oh, dude, it's awesome. But I love the way they one of the things I love about that whole partnership that you just talked about was the fact that he didn't understand, like, he knew, like, well, how do I know XYZ? And you guys came out with a solution and it worked out very well in his favor.
Yep.
Like, I can't tell you how much I love that. I thought it was just going to be just a run of the mill, just a kind of funny, just like, haha, it'd be funny. No, but I love the actual promotional ideas behind that to really help him drum up business as well.
Yeah, well, and the funny thing is, I mean, it's not like they were all 700 different people. I mean, a lot of guys were, hey, you got any more of those coupons left? Like, sure do. Here you go. So yeah, it's a lot of repeat business as well.
Oh my God, that is awesome. Well, I don't want to cut this short, but we have reached our time limit with you tonight. And Gary, I will flat out say this right now. You are welcome back anytime. We'd love to have you back on, obviously, because I didn't get to half of what I wanted to, and that's usually the case, but that's perfect because it sets us up for another visit later in the year or even in the following years from yourself if you are interested. But before we let you go, I do have to let you have the next few minutes to thank everyone and anyone who has helped you on your racing career. You can thank your great grandparents that are not even from Canada, that didn't even know about Canada until like 2 generations later. You can thank a dog that you're going to have in 5 years, 6 years. The floor is yours. You can thank your sponsors, thank your family, thank your friends, anyone you want to. The floor is yours.
Well, I mean, obviously, first and foremost, I got to thank my wife, especially, she was supportive enough. I kind of blame her now because we came back racing and spending all this money. She's very supportive. She loves racing. So it's kind of her fault that I'm racing again. That's what I'll blame it on. But if she wasn't so supportive, I certainly wouldn't be doing this. But my guys, my crew, Dan Bug is my spotter, Dan Leonard, my brother Ray Evelyn, Lou Cole, Matt Cole, Terry Simpson helps me out. Even a childhood friend that I grew up with. I mean, we've known each other since we were literally babies. She lived across the street from me, Natalie Close. She's been helping out this year with Terry. But yeah, all my sponsors, they're even like Delaware Karn, they've been a long time sponsor. They were my bread and butter for many, many years. I mean, even today, they're not a sponsor per se, but they let me keep my trailer at their yard. So I put their name on the card just simply for that. I certainly wouldn't have been able to be as competitive without their help. Speed Pro Imaging, they make my car look as good as it does, and they've been my longest sponsor. I mean, it's over 20 years that they've been with me. JD Patrick Electric, they're my primary this year. Guild Electric, the company that I work for, London Drive Systems. Doc Stater Property Maintenance, he's been with me for a few years. Jackpot Time in St. Thomas, which is bingo and casino. Seacraft Detailing in London. Global Waste Disposal, Arc One Welding Supplies, and actually this one here, they're not a sponsor. It's just a charity that does such great work. Ronald McDonald House. I'm sure you guys and all your listeners know what they're all about.
Yep.
They don't sponsor us, but we bring some awareness to for them. Put their name on the car and encourage everyone and anyone to donate whatever they can, whether it be time, money, literally anything. We gave. I talked to Dave Graham at Delaware, and he gave me a bunch of free tickets to hand out to the families. I mean,
That's awesome.
Families are far away from home, and just to give them a night out, a night of happiness where they take their mind off of things, and they just to feel some normalcy.
Absolutely.
Families like that need everyone's support because you never know when you're going to be the family that's in need. So, definitely them too.
I love that. I can't say how much like that. That is such great. Like, again, it as much as we love that story that you just told us there, that is a great way to help families who are struggling or are going through some things, and like you said, bring a little normalcy to their lives. And I commend you for that, because I think that's actually a fantastic initiative you guys have on your with your program, and I applaud you guys for that. It's fantastic. So I'm going to give you a quick little round of applause there for that, because it's a great job.
Oh, actually, one more. They hopped on board last week or for the last race, Step Right Capital Planning. So I don't want to forget them when they just jumped on board to help us out.
You can't forget that one.
No, definitely not.
Well, Gary, it has been an absolute blast having you on. Like I said, we'll stay in touch. We'll have to get you back on at another time. Who knows? I do a champion episode at the end of the season. So maybe if you can go 3 for 3 and knock out Ray and Marshall, maybe we'll have you back on again.
That would be nice. I mean, it's going to be a tough go. I mean, things happen. I mean, it happened to me too. I've got 2 in a row bad weeks. So, I mean, hopefully, not hopefully like maliciously, but hopefully it'll happen to Ray too, just to make a race of it to the end. But yeah, I love racing at Delaware. Delaware's home. I love racing against all the guys that are in the division. I mean, everybody's good and willing to help out. It doesn't matter who it is. I mean, if somebody needs a spare part, if you need it, you'll get it. If somebody has it, and vice versa. I mean, guys coming up to me needing stuff all the time as well. So it's it's one big racing family.
Absolutely. Well, you guys are able to catch Gary Friday nights at Delaware Speedway. Where can they find you on social media to stay up to date with everything that's going on with your race team?
I've got Adriaensen Motorsports on Facebook, my personal page as well, or on Instagram at 55 Gary.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for stopping by the True North Racing Podcast tonight. We hope you have a great rest of the season, and good luck, and we'll chat with you soon.
Great. Thanks again for having me. I really appreciate it.
Have a good one. And we're back from our GraphInk Design Studio guest segment of the week with Gary Adriaensen. I'm going to be honest, I was not expecting that when you asked him about his number.
No.
But I'm so glad we got him to ask. You got to ask him that, because first, and I'm being completely honest when I say it though, when he was doing promotional stuff before a lot of other people are doing it, because it's not all social media. It's about doing stuff for your partners.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry for any little children who are listening to this right now. I may have to make this actually R-rated this week. I don't. It's not bad, but
no.
We'll put out a thing at the beginning. Please do not listen if you're 13 or under.
You don't want them being like, "Mommy, what is this?"
Yeah, we don't want that at all. But honestly, I don't care. That was still great marketing for his partners.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's what we need to see make a comeback with because when we have these meet the drivers nights, what are you supposed to do? It's meet the drivers night. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
But who's on the side of your car? Why are they on the side of the car? Do you have anything that can help that potential customer? Because one thing we've known, this isn't an opinion. This is a fact. Race car fans, stock car fans, motorsports fans are very brand loyal. If there is a fan in the stand of yours, they want to use the people that are supporting you. Because if they support your supporters, if they support your sponsors, then there may be a comeback. And the fact that Gary even said that he had a code that he could use, it works out even better. That he saw that his sponsor saw that return.
Exactly.
And that's what I love to see. I don't care. We gotta meet the drivers night, kids ride night is your opportunity as drivers to show off your supporters by hero cards, by coupons, by merchandise, giveaway stuff from stickers. Like for you have McTier Water and Autocate. There's no reason for you guys not to have stickers or koozies or anything, lanyards to give away to showcase your sponsors. Or if you talk to Autocate and be like, hey, we got meet the drivers night, is there anything we can do to show, to give to our sponsor or to the fans, and if they come to you, you can see that return. You know, and half the time they'll be like, yeah, here's the XYZ, right? Like a 10% off if you come in there and you say, and here's the coupon.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's funny, I actually this weekend had quite a few people like looking at the stickers on my car and everything and asking about each of them. And there was one person that actually came up because we try to line our 4 cars up together. And I had somebody
In
walk
numerical
up
order?
and no, surprisingly not. Whoever gets there first. So I had one person actually walk up and they're looking at all the cars and they pointed at your sticker and they're like, I noticed that a lot of you have this Jomo Media sticker, like all of you guys have this. And I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, I started telling them, yeah, that's my friend John. And I'm like sharing like what Jomo Media is and everything. I'm like, perfect.
And that's the whole point of it, right? Is like, and that's something I'm actually working towards next year for all the drivers. Is I got to work with someone. I'm gonna get business cards made up, and I'm gonna give them to you, like to each driver. I'm gonna give them about maybe like 100 or so. I don't know how. I don't know yet, but it's what we're working on. Is that we're gonna give these out to the drivers. And when the drivers have them for Meet the Driver, they're specifically going to be for Meet the Drivers night, or if they come into the pits. And it's going to have on one side, it's going to be the Joe Media, talk about what we do, where they can find us. On the back side, it's going to have Day at the Races, going to have the driver's seat, as long as we continue that in 2025. Going to have True North Racing Podcast. It's going to have every program that we cover on the backside and where they can find it.
Yeah.
Because in that way, it's getting out Joe Media promotions and it's showcasing, oh, there's a guy who's focusing on these motorsports teams. Who knows, it may bring more followers to us on Facebook, may bring more people to our YouTube page or TikTok, whatever. And I realized this year that I actually dropped the ball on that, and I'm going to make it up for next year for sure, that a lot of drivers are going to have these business cards for you guys to hand out during Meet the Drivers night. I'm also working on some hero cards of my own to give to you guys to do the same thing, to hand out as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, but like I'm
Perfect.
preparing for Motorama already.
Yeah.
We're gonna have like 500 hero cards of Joe Media promotion stuff, double-sided. Like it's just gonna be. I'll show you afterwards.
Okay.
Because I absolutely love these. These things are actually, I find, are looking so good right now. And I mean I'm working on other things too. Actually, I got to tell you after this, because it's not something I want to talk about on public yet. I just realized I said we were going to keep this short and sweet, and I've been ranting for about 5 minutes. But I never. Megan, do we ever keep anything short and sweet? No. Especially me with my loud mouth. I get on something and it's just squirrel.
Feel that.
I know I'm looking forward to the off season so that because this year, let's be real, this year has been really hard on all of us to be able to hang out with you guys, run 21 races, with me running around the province essentially. Like I've only been to Flamborough 3 times, and I think I've only got to see you like maybe once.
Yeah.
Like actually gone up to you and see you. Like it feels like it's been since the wedding since I seen you essentially.
Literally, yeah. Actually,
like it's been a long freaking time. So we got to play in something in the off season. You know, you, Garrison, Rachel, Cody, everyone, we all got to get together. I think even, yeah, we all got to get together, hang out, have a barbecue, something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we all got to get together and just chill. The race cars can be in the background.
Yeah, I don't. But at that point, I don't look at them.
We're just hanging out.
Them. Yeah.
We need to do that again, and I'm sure we'll do that a lot this off season to really, because we got to find balance.
Exactly.
And I'm sure next year we'll find a lot more balance. Is there anything that you want to talk about before we head out?
I do have we're at a Touch a Truck event.
Oh,
September.
When? Where? What time? Got to give us the details. Let's go. Pitter patter.
Oh God. Sunday, September 15th.
Okay.
In Jarvis at the Lions Park. I don't remember the time exactly. I was actually just working on a little poster for it because we're doing it with McTier Water. So I was trying to get something to put out. But yeah, so 1 month away.
All right, so
We're doing a
Sunday,
touch-
September 15th. Make sure you guys mark your calendar. Stay tuned to MRC Racing on Facebook and Instagram to see when and where you'll be able to find that.
Mhm.
That's going to be fun. Will I be able to go? I might be able to go. We'll figure it out. Maybe I might be able to go. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's going to be a busy weekend because Friday I'm at Oswego, Saturday I'm at Flamborough. Maybe I'll talk to
Right.
Jacqueline about camping that weekend out that way so we don't have to drive so far.
Yeah. Maybe we
Oh,
got a big
man.
yard, we got a house.
Huh?
I said, got a big yard, we got a house. We got a living room we can crash in.
Well, we'll figure it out. We'll talk. Maybe that's as we the Friday night we all end up at Oswego for the first time this year. Actually, you guys have already been. I haven't been yet this year.
We need to go again before it ends though.
Yeah,
My God.
I won't.
I still have to
Oh my god. Yeah, you need to get going. I don't know. Maybe I'll talk to Jack about going on Friday night with the kids. Even I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, well, let's get out of here. I said we were gonna keep this short and sweet. We did not keep it short and sweet. But thank you everyone for listening to this week's episode of the True North Racing Podcast presented by Drive with Hailey. Thank you to all our sponsors, Pets Pro Painting for bringing us our opening segment, GraphInk Design Studio for bringing us our guest segment, Taylor to You Media Design for bringing us our fan question period, and of course, Megan Mitchell for being our amazing co-host each and every week on this show. Make sure you guys follow them on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok for everything going on with the race team. Make sure you guys follow Joe Media Promotions on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, joemedia.ca, and find out where I'm going to be next. The next time I'll be at a racetrack is August 31st at Flamborough Speedway with the with the Grindstone Landscaping Canadian Vintage Modifieds. Jane might kill me for that. I'll be there recording a day at the races presented by JTM Racing with JTM Racing drivers Jay Pepin and Maddox Pepin. So I'm excited for that. But for Megan Mitchell, I'm John Morrison. We'll see you all next time on the True North Racing Podcast. We'll see you guys later. Bye now.
See ya.
Ain't no hesitation, got me going crazy. Keep it moving, I'm tuned in to True North Racing Podcast that you need if you got the need. Short track, stock car racing, gotta get it hype. Saturday night under the lights, hear the engine rooming by. Smell the gas and feel the vibe, going into overdrive. Drop the flag, then the car zooming by. Hey, True North Racing, let's go.